There was a grandfather named Poppy who woke up from a nightmare. After that, he got ready to start making bread. He wore his shoes, then his bakery clothes. Then he went to the kitchen to make bread dough. After the dough became a lot, he baked the bread dough. At the airport, Pete waited for someone to arrive from New York, but the arrival of the plane was delayed for 2 hours. Then he decided to take a trip to the toy store. Pete bought items related to unicorns. After that, he decided to rest in his car in the parking lot. A while later, Pete saw a tall man get out of the car. He took a package in the trunk of a parked sedan car. It turned out that behind the sedan car, there were 2 thugs who were waiting for his arrival. Then the thugs beat him up. The man was able to defeat the 2 thugs, but soon he died. Pete immediately called 911. In the morning, Pete barged into his son's classroom. He packed his daughter's belongings and asked permission from the teacher. Pete took his daughter for a walk. His daughter saw an orange bag on the back seat of the car. It turned out that the bag belonged to the thug who was killed in the airport parking lot. Then they stopped at a gas station. Her daughter went to the store in the gas station. She saw a unicorn nail polish, so she stole it. Then they continued their journey. They also got on a ship. Poppy had a nightmare as usual. Then he woke up from his sleep. Poppy made bread dough and baked the bread dough. A while later, Pete and his daughter called Delphi came to Poppy's bakery. Poppy welcomed them. Pete said he was hungry and went into Poppy's bakery. Poppy asked about Pete's job. She thought that Pete was a limousine driver, but he claimed he was a businessman. Moments later, Pete got a call from Milky. Then Pete said he had to go to town without Delphi. Then Delphi was angry because she wanted to go with her father, but Pete told her to stay with Poppy for a while. He promised Delphi that he wouldn't let her down. Pete promised to pick Delphi up before Poppy had a good bond with his daughter. After Pete left, Poppy continued his work. Delphi wandered around Poppy's bakery. She looked at the bread Poppy made. Delphi took one and ate it while sitting cross-legged by the door. Poppy didn't know that Delphi was sitting downstairs, so Poppy bumped Delphi and the oven fell down. After that, Poppy welded the broken part of the oven. Suddenly, Delphi approached Poppy without a word. Poppy was surprised to see her. Poppy asked if Delphi would become mute and blind because Delphi didn't talk much, and now she was looking at the welding light without using protective glasses. Poppy gave Delphi a pair of protective glasses so she could see Poppy welding. A while later, Delphi returned to walk around Poppy's bakery. She saw a mouse caught in a trap. She picked it up, but the mouse bit her finger. Poppy saw that Delphi had been bitten by a mouse. Then Poppy treated her wound. After Poppy left her alone at the counter, Delphi stole money from the cash box. Poppy took Delphi to deliver bread. When she got into Poppy's car, Delphi told Poppy to wear the seatbelt, but Poppy didn't want to wear it, but Delphi kept insisting. She strapped Poppy's seatbelt on. Finally, Poppy complied with Delphi. Pete finally arrived at his house. He was surprised to see 2 men in his house. One of them was old. The old man, Vic, did not tell Pete the purpose of coming to his house, but Pete seemed to know the purpose of their arrival. Pete told the story of what happened in the airport parking lot. He took the orange bag because he didn't know who it belonged to. Then Pete gave the bag to Vic, but he saw that the bag contained Delphi's toys. Pete was surprised to see it. He promised to return the drugs, but the old man told his men to beat Pete. Vic saw a picture of Delphi. He took it. Then Vic pointed a gun at Pete. He demanded that Pete tell the truth. At Poppy's bakery, the grandfather was about to open his shop. But he realized that one of his breads had a hole in it because Delphi had eaten it. Poppy was annoyed. Instead of apologizing, Delphi threw the items on the counter. Moments later, Poppy got a call from her son, Pete. He gave Poppy a signal that he was in trouble. Then a gunshot is heard. Poppy asked Delphi what Pete had done to get him into trouble. Delphi opened her bag and showed that there were drugs in it. Poppy immediately prepared to go to his son. At the factory, Vic reported to his boss that the orange bag was missing. His boss felt upset and angry. Then Vic came up with a solution. He planned to attack Aria's gang and also look for Pete's daughter. At noon, Poppy and Delphi arrived at Pete's house. Poppy told Delphi to wait for him outside. Then Poppy entered the house. He saw the messy state of the house, but he didn't find Pete. Then he looked for something in Pete's house that might give him a clue. Moments later, Delphi barged into her house. Poppy followed Delphi into her room. She let Delphi take the toys in her room. Poppy waited for Delphi in front of the house. Then he noticed Pete's neighbor, a woman. Then Poppy greeted her. It turned out that the woman also spoke French like Poppy. Poppy asked her if she knew Pete. He also asked if she knew Delphi. She told him that she sometimes watched movies with her. The woman said that Delphi was someone, needed someone. Poppy was confused about what she meant. He asked about Delphi's mother. The woman said that her mother had died in an accident. Her mother didn't wear a seatbelt, and Delphi was in the back seat of the car. From then on, Delphi stopped talking. Poppy wanted to leave Delphi with the woman, but she refused Poppy's request. Then Poppy and Delphi checked Pete's car. Poppy found his son's notebook. Then Poppy reported Pete's incident to the police named Petra. But when the police asked for Pete's date and month of birth, Poppy couldn't answer clearly. The policeman said that the police could not process Poppy's report. Finally, Poppy stopped at a restaurant. While waiting for Delphi to eat ice cream, Poppy found a note in Pete's book. The note contained something about the incident at the airport when Pete got the orange bag of drugs. Poppy then continued his journey to the airport parking lot. He looked for clues that could be used to find Pete. Delphi also looked around the parking lot. She found her father's favorite food wrapper. Then Poppy went to a hospital close to the airport. He tried to find out if his son's body was there, but it turned out that he only found the bodies of thugs. Soon he returned to his truck. Poppy told Delphi that her father was not at the hospital. In the afternoon, they find out where Milky is. Milky is the name of Pete's friend who called Pete when he was at his father's bakery. Then Poppy searched for information about him, until someone informed him that Milky was in the park at Elm and 5th. Then he went to his truck. However, Poppy felt that two people were following him. Suddenly, the two men hit Poppy from behind until he fell. But Poppy got up again. He beat up the two thugs. Then he went into his truck. Delphi was scared because she saw Poppy being beaten by the thugs. But Poppy told her that there might be unwanted events like a fight. He suggested that Delphi cover her eyes with protective glasses. Then they went to a hotel to rest. Unfortunately, the hotel didn't accept cash payments. Suddenly, Delphi pulled out someone's credit card that she had taken from the restaurant table. Finally, they can book a room. At a base, Vic found a young man dead. Then there is someone who said that it should have been him who went to the airport instead of the young man. Then he told them that there was a baker who was traveling around the city looking for information about his missing son. The baker referred to as Poppy, but Vic already got angry with him. Vic decided to shoot him dead. Vic told his men to look for the baker until they found him. Then he set the place on fire. In the morning, Poppy woke up from her nightmare. He repaired the twinkle lights on his grandson's shoes. After that, Poppy continued his work. Petra saw some thugs going to jail. Her friend Rispoli said that there was an old man who waxed the thugs. Then Petra looked for information about the old man. A while later, Petra asked Rispoli to find out Peter Stanton's father. But it turned out that Rispoli couldn't find the name of Pete's father. He only found Pete's date of birth. Poppy arrived at the park at Elm and 5th. He watched the movements of the thugs there. Then Milky left the park. Poppy followed him until Milky stopped at his house. The grandfather asked Delphi to stay in the truck no matter what. Meanwhile, Poppy met Milky by delivering a bread box in front of the house. Milky went out to get the box that Poppy had placed in front of the door. Poppy easily caught Milky. Then he pulled him into the house. Poppy asked about Pete's whereabouts. Milky pretended not to recognize Pete at first, but after Poppy explained that 3 days ago Pete had called Milky, he explained that Pete was going to sell Milky a pink drug. Milky finally admitted that he knew Pete. Milky said that he would deliver the drug to Serko, a drug supplier. He added the information that Serko, a Ukrainian, had a club named Lily, a big tall figure. It was not long before Delphi entered Milky's house. She was frightened because someone was watching Poppy's truck. Then Poppy defeated Milky. Poppy and Delphi returned to the truck. Poppy decided to stop for dinner. Poppy saw Delphi about to steal a unicorn-shaped keychain, but Poppy stopped Delphi from doing that. Delphi was angry at first, but then she hugged his grandfather. Vic woke up to someone knocking on his door. It was his boss. His boss warned him that he hadn't made up his mind about Vic yet. Poppy and Delphi returned to the hotel. Poppy said that Pete didn't like mushrooms as much as Delphi. Then Poppy read a story to her granddaughter until Delphi fell asleep. Poppy continued the search for his missing son. He went to Circo's Lely Club. Poppy looked for people with the characteristics mentioned by Milky. Shortly after, he found Circo. Poppy deliberately nudged Circo's arm to spill his drink on his shirt. Then he went to the toilet. Poppy pretended to be a cleaner in the toilet. He communicated with Circo in Ukrainian. When he was sure it was Circo, Poppy hit him. He started asking about Pete's location. Circo realizes that the baker that people are talking about is Poppy. Circo told him that Pete committed suicide. Poppy disbelieved him. Then he took his belt and hit her with it. Circo was furious. He tried to keep attacking Poppy. Poppy managed to beat him, though. After that, Poppy returned to the hotel. Delphi saw Poppy, who was injured in the temple. The grandfather told her about Pete, who might still be alive. However, she cried because she was afraid that her father would die. Moments later, Poppy managed to calm Delphi down. Circo was found dead in the club's restroom. The police went to Circo's Club Lely. Detective Petra looked for the face of the old man who killed Circo through CCTV footage. Petra instructed Rispoli to look for CCTV footage showing Poppy's face. Not long after, Rispoli found Poppy's face. Then he sent a picture of Poppy's face to Vic. Poppy and Delphi wanted to go home that morning. Poppy would buy snacks for the journey home. Delphi packed her things in the room. When Poppy wanted to go to the shop near the hotel, he saw two young men looking for him. After they left, Poppy went to the store. The two young men walked into Poppy's room. Delphi was taking the bread containing the drugs that Poppy kept in the bathroom. Suddenly, the two young men entered the room. Poppy quickly hid under the bed without bringing the bread. The two young men searched for Poppy, but they found nothing. One of them saw that something was wrong in the bathroom, so he called his friend. While they were in the bathroom, Delphi ran away with the bread. She ran to Poppy's truck. The thugs followed Delphi to the truck. Delphi pressed the horn button repeatedly so Poppy would hear her. Poppy heard the horn. He immediately went back to his truck. Poppy saw two young men in his truck. Poppy beat one of the thugs to death. Then Poppy was about to start his journey, but his truck caught fire because one of the thugs was messing with the gas-filling hole. Poppy walked with Delphi's help. They stopped at a shop. Poppy tried to treat the wounds on his stomach and face, but moments later he fainted. On seeing this, Delphi panicked. She asked the shopkeeper to call an ambulance. After that, Poppy was taken to the hospital. Delphi was sad to see her grandfather injured. Poppy woke up. Then he told Delphi to buy chocolate without nuts. Delphi saw three men who seemed to be looking for her grandfather's room. One of them followed Delphi. The other two searched Poppy's room by themselves. Then the two men found Poppy's room. But Poppy was hiding. The man who followed Delphi asked Delphi to tell him about Poppy's room. However, Delphi told him someone else's room, and then she ran away. The man felt lied to and chased Delphi. Soon Poppy attacked the two thugs from under the mattress. Poppy easily defeated one thug. The other thug beat Poppy several times, but Poppy was able to defeat the thug. Detective Petra found out where Poppy was. Then she went to the hospital to see Poppy. Once at the hospital, Detective Petra immediately looked for Poppy's room. She noticed a man who was chasing Delphi. Then Petra shot the man to death. Then Poppy went to see her injured grandfather. After that, they left his room. They decided to hide. Petra arrived at Poppy's room, but she didn't see Poppy there. Instead, she saw two thugs dead. She took one of the thugs' cell phones. Petra was surprised to see a photo of Poppy on her cell phone. Then she shot Rispoli to death because Petra knew that it was her friend Rispoli who had spread Poppy's photo. Poppy continued to find his son's killer. He met Vic at a restaurant. Vic was haunted by Delphi's picture. Poppy followed him until he finally told Vic to show him where Pete was. Moments later, they reached the middle of the forest on the beach. Vic pointed out the corpse of Pete. Vic felt very sorry for killing Pete. Poppy almost kills Vic. Suddenly, Delphi arrived. Poppy immediately hugged Delphi and said that she could cry now. According to the agreement, if they saw Pete's corpse, then Delphi could cry. After that, Poppy and Delphi went to the airport. They were going to travel abroad. While waiting for their plane to arrive, they enjoyed the song that was playing at the airport. Delphi said that she liked this song. After a long time, Delphi finally started talking again. Poppy looked happy to see her.